correct live stream though. Technical difficulties. Yeah, I know, but is that on?
It's the only one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We're going.
Okay, cool. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Live with Brink of Speed. Sorry we had some technical difficulties there, but we are on now. Today's episode is about the current state of the U.S. auto manufacturers, and we have a very special guest. To my left here is Paul from Racerx.
Yes, I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us.
You guys have a full agenda tonight.
We do, man.
I think that's fantastic. I do these podcasts sometimes, and I really enjoy it. It's a way to just kind of, we're all car folks, right?
Yep.
So we just always talk cars and have a good time. So I'm very pleased to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Sure.
Darren, you want to go over real quickly our weekly giveaway?
Yeah, we're going to do it again today.
Yep.
So, Paul, I know we just met, but I'm going to show you my blower.
You told me this was a family thing.
Yeah, I know.
I'll let you unbox that so we can show everyone.
Let's take a look.
So tonight's weekly giveaway, we'll do the same thing we did last week. We were hoping to have Mark here and do something with the mileage on his car, but we'll get to that in a couple of weeks. This is a company, when I saw this, I couldn't buy it quick enough. It's called Blower Band, blowerband.com. And I'll let you just fit that on the end of it there.
Okay, blower band, huh? It looks like it goes on like something like this, huh?
Yeah, just slide right on. I think you might have the other way.
Actually, I think
Looks like it does go that way.
Oh, no,
doesn't
you're
it?
right.
This is,
Yep, you are correct.
So you guys got me doing funny stuff here, man. I'm not gonna lie. This looks a little strange. Trying to get me to fit something on the end of your blower.
We gotta get people laughing. There you go.
Yeah, man. There we go. We got this.
Got it.
So Blower Band, for the people that, or the person that's not the lucky winner tonight, they're doing a deal for us. Coupon code BOS10 will get you 10% off. I think these things shipped all in with 10% discount, right around $15. But for those of us that wash our cars and use their leaf blowers to dry them off, which I don't know about you guys, I do.
Sure.
I've had a couple close calls, and the previous car actually did scratch one of my wheels. Getting a little bit careless, right? You get a little tired. You're at the end of getting everything cleaned up, and you just get a little sloppy, and boom, you end up scratching something. So for $15 goes a long way. And then another little side story: previous leaf blower, which the more you use them, you scrape the concrete, right? It gets become like a sharp edge.
Oh yeah.
Well, one day I was coming through my garage in a hurry and slammed my toe right into the end of that, and split my toe open. So like I said, as soon as I saw this, I thought that was a genius idea. I bought one and reached out to them, and they're sponsoring the show for the weekly giveaway. So we'll do the same thing we did last week. Just everyone comment, tell us where you're from, and at the end we'll select a winner.
Yep.
Sounds good.
All right, let's just read some of these comments real quick. Stephen Rapp says, "Do you folks think GM should reimburse us for the grill guards? I truly think a design defect and don't believe lack of airflow is a valid concern." Yeah, as far as that goes, I mean, I know the grill guards have been approved now by GM, and they're using them at the Ron Fellow School. So that's something we can talk about later on.
They definitely send missed messages on that.
Yeah.
Sure.
So real quick, let me talk about the monthly giveaway, which is sponsored by C8VetPartsOnline.com. And this is the monthly giveaway here. This is the engine bay side covers that you'll see here. And so we all know to enter that, the quickest way to get yourself entries for that one is with the Super Chats. Every $5 gets you an entry for that. So just wanted to go over that with you guys real quick. And so, Racerx, why don't you just give us a little introduction about you and your channel and what you try and accomplish on your channel?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate it. So, my channel I'm an all-around enthusiast, first of all. So we talked about that. You and I recently did a video, so had a good time with it. But, I'm an enthusiast. I'm not just a Mopar guy. I'm not just a Chevy guy. I'm, not just a Ford guy. I have a Mustang right now, makes big power. I got some other stuff planned for the channel, so I love to do car reviews. Certainly I'm a drag racer, first and foremost. That's kind of how I started my thing. Been drag racing a long time. But people like to see me compare cars. They like to know how to modify their cars, and I usually give them my best, my best advice for what type of mods are right for your particular application. What cars work better with what mods.
Cool.
A lot of stuff like that. And so, it's kind of taken off. Sometimes I have kind of a wacky personality, so I like to let that show in my videos sometimes. I don't do a whole ton of street racing or anything anymore. Not to say I don't still have fun, but I don't do a whole lot of that anymore. But I do really enjoy like all aspects of being a car enthusiast. I love doing the YouTube events. Certainly I've got a big meet coming up this Saturday. So 3.5 years I've been doing YouTube. My favorite thing that I've always done is meeting with fans. And so obviously, with me getting ready to move to Florida here in a week, I felt, I should give back. I should give people an opportunity to come meet me. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm giving people an opportunity this Saturday from 8:30 to 11 at Clay Cooley to come and say hi, and it's going to be a great time.
I'm looking forward to it.
Family friendly. You said you're going to come.
Oh yeah.
All right, I'm holding you to it.
Absolutely, man.
And it just should be a good time. And like I said, for the channel, so many people are like, hey, I want to meet you so bad, and I've really enjoyed the whole YouTube journey, and on it goes, as you know.
Awesome.
And you're getting ready to crest 50,000 subscribers.
I am. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I love it. It's good stuff.
Yeah, man. You're what, at like 130 something thousand?
136,000.
Awesome, man.
Like that, so.
Awesome. Well, congrats.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for the super chat there, Mr. Lee. That's going to be 4 entries into that side piece cover. And by the way, that will fit on your new Z06 that you're getting.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if people know that or not, but the side engine covers are going to fit the Z06. So,
nice.
Yep.
That's really cool.
All right, so I guess we'll go ahead and get started on the discussion.
Yeah, I think you and I, the last couple of weeks, it's kind of ironic timing, right? Because a lot of things have been happening the last couple of weeks with, well, we all know, Z06 delays, price changes, price increases, and, there's probably a bigger story. And Paul did a story or a video a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Kind of about some of the issues, gasoline prices, insurance prices, and we're all seeing it firsthand.
Yeah.
We're all experiencing it. So things are changing, evolving quickly. But we were just talking about, there's a lot of really cool things happening too. Like let's not be, too negative and dog these U.S. manufacturers, because they've came a long ways.
They have.
I can't remember who was just telling us the other day. It used to be, you'd be like, okay, the Corvette looks cool, or the Dodge Challenger looks cool, but then you get in, you'd be like, oh, it's a Ford, or oh, it's a Chevy. And now it's the opposite. You get in these cars, and they feel like a European sports car, right? I mean, my Ram pickup truck, it might as well be a Mercedes, right?
Yeah, and on top of that, the thing that I love, probably 3 or 4 years ago, just talking about horsepower and how cheap it is nowadays. You used to have to pay so much money to get the high horsepower cars, and now they're making little cheap cars with 4 cylinders that have 350, 400 horsepower. And then the V8s have, 600, 700 horsepower, some of them 800 horsepower.
So when you think about technology, this is something I talk about a lot. When you say go back like 8 years to when they first came out with the Shelby GT500 Mustang, 662 horsepower, right? Blew everybody's mind.
Right.
Everybody was like, what are they doing? 2013, 2014. So like, what are we at? 9 years ago. Before that, the horsepower benchmark was what we would consider to be very low at the time.
Oh, yeah.
It was normal to us. So in the span of 8-9 years, we've gone from, hey, if you have a 500 horsepower car, you're extremely relevant. You're extremely fast. Like you're the bad daddy on the block.
Oh yeah.
Now if you have 500 horsepower, like everybody's like, go get some more. Like, you're 808 horsepower with the new jailbreaks, right? I mean, the new Z06 naturally aspirated 670 horsepower.
Right.
The numbers have gone crazy, and now you see soccer moms driving plaids.
Oh yeah.
That's a 9.2 car.
Yeah. It's
that one
insane.
really disgusts you.
Yeah, exactly.
And it won't be long until so from a technology perspective, it's fantastic. Cost is a different issue, but in terms of what they're doing from a technology and performance perspective, it's amazing how fast cars are becoming.
It is.
And mind-numbingly fast. I mean, it used to be if you had even an 11-second car, that was extremely relevant, right?
Sub-0 to 65 seconds was a fast car.
Huge,
up
right?
Until 5, 6, 7.
And now it's like if you're not running in the low 10s, like everybody's like, well, just go get, what are you doing? It's just so weird how our minds have been kind of shaped in such a way where horsepower has just become numb to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Not only that, too, not an engine, look at the transmission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About 10 speed, that's the norm.
Yes.
The new trucks, the new Chevy Silverado truck is a 10-speed transmission.
Well, and I mean, the DCTs, we're not seeing any 10s in those yet, but I mean, we're just, Ford's got them, Chevy's got them, and they work. That's the thing, they work.
really well.
I mean, what's in my Mustang right now, I mean, you drove it.
Oh yeah, it shifts as fast as a
It's
DCT.
amazingly fast.
It's unbelievable.
And
yeah.
it really keeps those engines, even though it's smaller displacement, it keeps that engine way up in the power band.
Yes.
That's what makes that thing so formidable. I mean, look at the ZL1. I mean, it's a great example, right? So yeah, transmissions are fantastic. It used to be when you could drive a manual, right? You were the man, and the automatics were terrible. And then of course that flopped on the last several years. But yeah,
well, and speaking of which, the manual transmission is pretty much a dinosaur, right? You can't even buy a car with a manual.
Right.
Very, very few cars.
Very few. You got
everything's going to
Porsche
DCT.
I mean, the new Mustang, you can still get that in a manual, right?
You can.
Jeep Wrangler.
and the Cadillac CTV.
The Blackwing.
CT5V
Yeah, recently did a
Blackwing.
review on the Blackwing, and I couldn't get a hold of a manual. I've been trying, but at least I got a hold of one. And
Yes.
what a great car! What a great
Yes.
car! They have a manual one coming in, but we'll see. I don't know if I'll do another separate review, but I think a manual Cadillac that nice and that fast is still pretty cool.
Yeah, I watched Speed Phenom's review on the manual CT5 Blackwing, and it was excellent.
Yeah.
he
Yeah, they're fun
loved
cars.
it. He actually took it to the track too.
Of course.
Which was really cool. Yeah. Real quick, thank you, Stephen Rapp, for the super chat. He asked, when will the first Z06 be delivered? My guess is somewhere towards the end of September, is my guess.
I was thinking mid-September as well.
Yeah,
That's not
mid
what I was told.
to end, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's up, Seagarner Speed 252? What's up, Clarence? How's it going, Doug? And let's see. Good evening, okay. All right, so let's continue on this discussion. Some of your favorite cars that you reviewed lately, probably, I would say, was the CT5V.
The neat car.
TRX.
What about the
Yeah,
TRX?
that's really cool.
I love the TRX. Now, I've driven TRXs now since they came out. I've done several different videos on the TRX. The TRX is just a well put together machine. I mean, it is, for anybody that's driven one, I've driven the Raptors, I've driven
I was
all
gonna
that
ask
stuff
you
like
if you
that, all of them. And the TRX, it feels so buttoned down, and it feels just right when you're driving it, but it looks so good on the road. It's one of those things that pictures don't do any justice, right? You see them in person and you're like, that looks good, because they're so wide. And Raptors kind of have that same presence, but there's just something about a TRX that, like the torque that it makes, the sound that it makes, it's just slightly more visceral.
Yeah.
And I've driven the 750 horsepower Shelby trucks, and the TRX for some reason still seems to just blow those away. It's just the total package in terms of suspension, just the way that they engineered the entire truck from the ground up. It is just right. That's one of my it is probably my favorite truck on the road right now. When the Super Raptor, or the Raptor R as they call it, when that comes out, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So compare that with the new Hummer, because I know you drove that too.
Yes, completely different, right? So the new Hummer EV is absolutely stupid fast. For something that weighs 9,000 pounds, it has no business being as fast as it is.
Right.
It is almost insultingly fast. It's faster than a Shelby or a Hellcat from 0 to 60. And it's gigantic. So it is a wacky vehicle. But I mean, that vehicle has so many little touches. Like the inside has maps of the moon on it. Who does that?
Oh, I know. It's unbelievable.
There's
yeah.
so many little layers to that
Yes.
vehicle, and there's so many little quirky things. But yet, and it's an EV, but yet you can get in it, and it's not so out there like a Tesla where you're doing everything from the It still kind of feels like a car. So I'm a huge fan of it. Unfortunately, they're so hard to get that it's not like normal folks could just be like, I want one, go buy it.
Yeah,
You have to
and-
be on a waiting list,
Yeah.
and typically the ADM is going to be $50,000 to $100,000, and it just
Yes.
it's problematic to get one. If you get one, they're great. They're fantastic.
Well, and that brings up another point. It's problematic to get any popular car nowadays.
Right.
I mean,
It is.
most of the time you have to wait for quite a while to get it. And if you're lucky, you get one at MSRP. But for the most part, like you said, the ADMs are 50 to 100 grand on
Anything
most
that's
cars.
sought after.
Well,
yeah.
just like
Yeah.
the Ford Lightning, it's 2x what the price, right?
Yes.
Rather than whatever the MSRP is times 2.
And speaking of the Ford Lightning, I was just recently able to do a video on one. I didn't video myself driving it. Only had a little bit of time with the vehicle, but I did drive it. And comparing it with the Hummer feels pretty big when you're driving it. Like you said, it's 9,000 pounds. The Hummer definitely feels faster, but that's the good thing about the Lightning is it feels a lot lighter, which it is 3,000 pounds lighter.
That's a chunk.
That's a chunk.
It's still heavy, but it's
Now it has half the horsepower,
right.
so that's a chunk that it's missing, but it does have 775 foot-pounds of torque, so you feel that. I don't know if most people are going to know this, but the horsepower is what shoves you back in your seat. I'm sorry, the torque is what shoves you back in your seat. The horsepower is what gets you up to a high speed.
Yep.
So you definitely feel that 775 foot-pounds of torque, and it is a really nice truck. I enjoyed it.
Well, I
it's
mean,
super
there's two
smooth.
different animals, right? Because they're two different price points.
That's true.
This is Ford's entry into the mass. I mean, the F-150 is
Well,
the #1 selling vehicle.
If you do platinum it out,
Yeah,
I think it's 80.
Is it?
Yeah, because his was a Lariat, and it was almost 70.
Okay.
So I'm sure the platinum is probably the next level up, 75 or 80. But yeah, it's still no $100,000.
Yeah, it's a nice looking
Hummer.
truck, though. It's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's take it a different direction
Okay.
for both of you. What's one of the vehicles that's out in the last year that you look at and you're just this hideous? Like, why'd they do that?
Well, I did a review on the Trailblazer, the latest Trailblazer,
Yeah.
and I
Doesn't know.
no, I think it's hideous. How about you?
The funny thing about me is I typically don't do a lot of reviews on cars that I don't really like. So like there are certain things about cars that I don't like, but I think in terms of driving one and just saying it's terrible, I don't know if I have anything I would say is just terrible. Like I think there are certain things about each car that I like and dislike for sure. But in terms of just driving one that I think is awful, like for a good example would be like the M3, right?
Go with the front end.
The front end of the
Oh,
car.
yeah,
See,
yeah.
idiots.
See, I like that. I don't.
See, everybody says that's growing on.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Are there any cars where your first glance is like, oh, that's horrible. I've never. Then all of a sudden it starts to grow.
There is one. The Supra.
Yeah,
I
that
agree.
one.
I saw one the
The
other
Supra
day.
in
Yeah.
pictures did not impress me at all.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you've ever
In
driven a
person.
Supra, it was actually on one of my. It actually made my honorable mentions on my top 10 cars that I've ever reviewed.
Nice.
Years ago. So it is a car that underwhelms you a little bit when you look at it, and then but the more you kind of look at it, the more they
Yeah.
grow on you. They're kind of weird. They're just like a
That is what happened with the Supra with me.
yeah.
The more I see it, the more it grows on me, especially if they do it upright, and they put some good aero on there. And
Yeah. Well, and those cars come alive with some tuning.
Sure.
Those turbo
Oh,
cars.
yeah.
I've seen some Supras out there that are running in the mid-9s.
Yes.
And they're very formidable. And so I think people were underwhelmed with it at first because they wanted this huge horsepower number out of the Supra because of what the old Supra was. But then as it's gotten to the market and people are starting to mess with them and they're starting to become out there, right? They're kind of starting to grow on some folks, and they're starting to become more popular all of a sudden.
Sure.
So that was one of those cars that came out real slow. Nobody liked it. Now all of a sudden it's getting this following, and it's kind
It
of
is.
intriguing. And for guys like you and guys like me, we have this channel. Like obviously you've got a big Corvette channel and mostly domestics, right? Me too. Most people follow me because of the domestic content, but you can't sleep on that car because it's a pretty unique car.
yeah, it is. I agree.
So.
What about you? What cars?
The Bronco Sport.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, every time it bothers me that they use the name. It should be the what was it? The Escape. It should be the Ford Escape. The
Yeah.
Ford Escape, not the
Sure.
Ford Bronco Sport. because
Sure.
We know what the Bronco is, and the Broncos should be the Bronco. They should reserve that name. And of course, I mean, is it the what's the Mustang? The Mach-E?
The Mach-E?
Yeah, yeah.
And so they have a
Technically,
Mach-E and they have Mach-E GT.
Is it technically under the Mustang name?
It is.
See, that bothers me too. 'cause
Well, I
see
did a video on that
Oh,
very
did you? I didn't
subject
see
that
that
you
one.
mentioned. That's okay, but like, yeah, I did. I actually talked about that very thing about how I'm a little bit. I love the vehicle itself. If you take the vehicle itself in a bubble,
Technology-wise, yeah.
technology,
Sure.
performance. I mean, it's great. I just don't think they should have put a Mustang badge on it.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing for me, and is like, but I mean, it is very capable. It's very comfortable. Like it checks the boxes. Just when I literally have a picture of my Mustang sitting next to one, and it should not have a Mustang badge on it. I think they made a mistake with that. So.
Yeah, I agree.
What
I
about,
totally-
what about Teslas, Paul? Have you actually experienced
Driven
them?
lots of
Have you?
Teslas. Yep.
Are you a Tesla fanboy or?
Not at all. I'm not a Tesla fanboy. I think it's hard. You'd be hard pressed to deny their performance capability.
Right.
In my Mustang, which is extremely fast, and you can vouch for that, it takes everything that car has to keep up with a Plaid, like on the highway, not, let alone from a dig.
Right.
And it takes but it really doesn't take any skill
No.
to drive a Plaid.
A Plaid,
They
yeah.
don't spin. They're impervious to weather. So DA doesn't matter. Fuel quality is not a thing because it's an electric. So Grandma can get in it, and she can pretty much roast any ICE car on the road.
Yeah.
So it kind of ruins things. So I put all these videos out about the Plaid. I mean, it is the current benchmark for cars. I mean, you see, that's the only badge that scares me. I'm rolling down the road and I see a Plaid roll up next to me. I'm like, oh, this is gonna suck. Like, it's gonna be hard. I got trolled by a kid with, it was like a 17-year-old kid in a Plaid, had 4 people in the car, including himself, obviously, and I couldn't reel him in.
Yeah.
My car traps over 150 miles an hour.
Yeah.
He was just too fast because he immediately got 3 cars on me. The millisecond he tapped it, he was gone by 3 cars. While my turbos were spooling. And I just couldn't reel him back in. He was just too fast. I mean, those cars trap 152. I mean, that's a race car.
That's a race car,
but yet it comes with AC and he had a stereo on.
Super comfy.
So it is kind of ruined things because, I mean, if you're a true muscle car guy like we are, right?
Right.
We like the sound, the visceral, like your car is a perfect example. It might not be the fastest car in the world, but it's a ton of fun to drive.
Oh, yeah.
There's something about driving a car that sounds good and looks good and just that rumbles at a stoplight, and that's what we grew up loving. And there's still so much validity to it. So the new EVs, they're just so different, and that's the thing about them. I don't want to hate on them because they're the future. We talked about.
Oh yeah.
But it's at the same time they're also, they're frustrating for your normal, muscle car guys because they just nothing keeps up with them.
Right. The tuning's on the keyboard, not under the hood.
I mean, even a long range. My buddy Drag Times down in Florida, he took a long range out and he was racing Hellcat. I mean, this isn't even the Plaid. It's just the long range, trolling everybody.
Oh yeah.
And that's not even the upper level. And then when the Roadster comes out here by the end of the year,
oh, it's going to be game over.
That car, I'm told that car may run as fast as like 860 at 170 plus miles an hour. We're at the point now where these cars are way beyond dangerous.
Right.
Your average teenager should not even be in that car, let alone in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I know.
So we have to start thinking at some point that the technology is going to surpass what the human brain can process in terms of speed.
Oh yeah.
It's a
yeah,
weird
because
time.
if you look at the difference between like a Plaid, I think they're 80,000.
Well, Plaids are like 130.
Oh, are they? Oh, okay. Let's say 130.
Yeah.
But still, you got a Plaid that's $130,000 that does the quarter mile in low 9s. And then you've got for someone to be able to afford something with an actual combustion engine that does that, they're going to have to pay close to $1 million.
More cars that cost $1 million still get trolled by the Plaid.
Right. So, but I was thinking of like
it's insane.
The Chiron and the Veyron and things like that. So, your average adult in their 20s can't go out and buy those cars. So, they're having to buy cars like what you and I have if they want to go fast that are not super dangerous. Right. But if they have $130,000 and they can buy a Plaid, all of a sudden they're in a freaking race car.
That's exactly
and it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's sad because it's like you don't have to do, like I said, it's so impervious to everything. And so like it doesn't miss a shift,
Right.
It doesn't miss anything. It does it every time. Guys in a Plaid will go out and run you in the quarter mile. They just put out a video 2 days ago. I just saw it. A gutted Plaid ran 880 at almost 160 miles an hour. He just took the seats out.
On the regular tires, or they had?
No, it had drag radials on.
Okay.
But I don't think it even needed it.
Right.
So it's insane that the technology's there. It's just we're fighting that battle, but it's coming whether we like it or not, right?
Oh
the
yeah,
EVs,
absolutely.
It's the future.
Yeah.
Everybody just like lost. It's like people lose focus when you talk about EVs though, because it's not what we love.
But again, we're still winning because they're still making ICE engines that are phenomenal. I mean, if you just look at, I'm not a huge fan of SUVs that are super fast, but if you look at the Escalade V Blackwing, it has almost 700 horsepower. And then you look at the other manufacturer SUVs that are going to compare to that, and they're going to have 600 to 700 horsepower, and it's unbelievable.
It is. We only have a few years left of it.
Yeah.
So we got to enjoy it while we have it.
That's true.
So, because even Dodge, I mean, those Hemis are getting ready to go away. They're getting ready to go to that Hurricane engine, which is inline 6 turbo. And then they're going to start doing hybrids and EVs.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to. So that really pisses Dodge guys off because they're like the most anti-EV guys in the world.
I'm sure.
Well, the Hellcat was a brand changer for Dodge, right?
It was huge.
I mean, that was a game changer for them.
Oh yeah.
Really for everybody. In terms of horsepower numbers, nobody could put out something like that in masses.
For 60 grand.
Yeah, it was just insane what they did with that car.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It
for
is.
sure.
So Paul, since you've been doing a lot of these reviews on these newer cars, what's the sentiment been from the dealers? Because you've got good relationships with different dealerships. What are they? Because I mean, so many dealerships just right here in the DFW area, you pull in. I mean, they're like a empty parking lot, right?
It is.
They shuffle all the cars to the front to make it look like they have some inventory.
They'll point them sideways
Yeah,
too.
exactly. And most of them are, half of them are used cars, right?
Yes.
Almost all of them.
I mean, almost all of them.
Yeah.
You can't really buy a new vehicle on the lot.
We've gone to the point where mostly everything that comes in is pre-sold.
Right.
Because they know it's coming in, they've got a VIN, so they know it's going to get built. And they'll start marketing cars literally on Auto Trader, Car Gurus and stuff like that like aren't even halfway through the build process.
Right.
Because people will call up and say, just put my name on the car. That's the current state of things.
Right.
You know, we were talking a little bit about Tesla, and one of the things that I kind of wish a lot of the manufacturers, they won't happen, but you know, Tesla, you go into one of their showrooms and you pay whatever the price is.
Right.
Like
Right.
But there's no dealer markup, there's none of that, like it just doesn't, exactly.
Right.
And you know, that would essentially be, you know, these people like GM or people like Ford or whatever, I mean, they would never cut the dealer out at this juncture because there would just be too much uprising, but for the consumer, it would be fantastic.
Well,
but the dealerships are so empty right now. Literally, I'm having a car meet in a few days at a dealership because they can't get any cars in.
Yeah.
So the whole back lot is empty.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Well, that was one of the things I was doing some research for tonight's show. Is there were some articles out there. One of the title was, you know, because of the pandemic, basically, are car salespeople a dying breed? Because even with the big three, it's moved more towards everyone's doing the research online. The virtual builders. Everyone has a build. You can build your car. You can have that virtual experience. And then guys like the both of you that are doing such good reviews on the cars, and you guys are car guys and you have experience in different cars, you can point out the good, the bad, the differences, and not even just, you know, just point out things. So it's almost like I get that same experience and I don't even have to go drive the car. I can make my buying decision without physically going for a test drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how long it's going to take for car salesmen to go away. They've been saying that, I mean, since the early 2000s because of the internet and how powerful it was for them to be able to go on there and just, you know, price out a car, have the internet department give them a discount and not have to see a salesman really. But I mean, that's been going on for so long. So I'm not sure that that's going to, you know, happen. But I do have a buddy that works at Plano Porsche, and you know, they are struggling for new cars, but they're also having some of the best years they've ever had.
Yeah, the guys at the dealerships are making money though. That's the weird thing.
They're selling a lot of cars.
They are.
And they're sold before they hit the lot.
Exactly. So the way that they're selling is different.
Right.
Because they just can't get them in.
Right.
But these guys are still making good money. Like I talked to a bunch of guys over the course of the last couple of weeks, and they're like, dude, my numbers are still great. But I mean, they are having to change the way that they do it. And a lot of times these things will be sold and then shipped. And sometimes they'll even bypass the dealership altogether, which is really a weird way to do it, right? They'll just go, I mean, literally, they'll get shipped out to somewhere else. The dealership gets credit. They do the deal. Everything's done. But they're just kind of a middleman at that point.
Right.
They collect the money and that's it. It is a weird way. And that's why so many car companies are taking, like Carvana, for example.
Yeah.
Like, I would never think somebody like me or somebody like that, I'm not going to buy a car without driving it first. I'm just weird. I'm old school like that. But a lot of people...
I've done it multiple times.
Have you?
Yeah.
So a lot of people...
In fact, just recently, I just ordered a 2022 Silverado 3-liter diesel. Never drove one, but I know it'll be good. I mean, because we have a Tahoe, but it'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
Those places are having record sales right now.
Yeah.
It's just going.
The same thing, that truck, it's 18 weeks, right? But put your name in, get on the build list, and just wait.
Yeah.
Real quick, I need to shout out a couple of people. Diego, thank you for your super sticker. And Jason, thank you for your super sticker. I appreciate it. And then we will get to question and comments after we finish up with our discussion here. So feel free to keep putting in the comment section what you want to know, and I'll scroll back up and go through them. But real quick, if you haven't smashed that thumbs up button, please do so. That really helps YouTube know you are enjoying what you're watching right now, and helps get it out to multiple people. So what about part supply constraints? I know we are definitely experiencing that right now. I think that's probably why we're a little bit on hold with the Z06. I think we're having issues with metal. I think we're having issues with carbon fiber, and I think we're having issues with chips. What do you guys think?
The chip thing, that hasn't gone away.
No.
And I'm a little surprised it hasn't gotten a little better than it is, but it hasn't gone away. But the ability for these manufacturers to simply produce has been affected long term. And how many times have they pushed that Z06 back now?
Oh, it was supposed to be a 2022.
Right, exactly.
So that tells you right there.
I guess we should maybe count our lucky stars or whatever that they still building it.
Oh, I know.
But,
I agree 100%. Yeah.
Even though they're hard to get, as you and I both know, but it's one of those things that I don't suspect. The face of things is changing right now in general, like not only with cars, everything.
Right.
There's a lot of factors that go into it, but just manufacturing itself has become just a more expensive proposition. Obviously, with the price of fuel, everything goes up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then it's a trickle down effect. So, I think we're at a weird time in the car evolution in terms of the way they're powered, in terms of the cost of them, the way that they're sold, all of it. It's so much transition happening right now.
It is.
We're all along for the ride.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a lot of stuff happening very quickly.
There's a high demand for new cars, right? I mean, in 2020, they made 40% of the cars they were going to build. And there's a lot of stored up demand. And the technology changed in the last 3 or 4 years. It's a pretty big step forward. So now people are excited to go get a new car because there's all these new cool cars coming out. So that's playing into the demand factor too. And just not enough supply.
Yeah, there's definitely not enough supply.
Well, I think what we're going to end up seeing is we're going to see these manufacturers start to streamline what they build.
Yeah.
Meaning that no longer will you have manufacturers, say a Ford, building 15 different variants, 15 different types of cars. Just not a thing. I mean, you look at like what Mopar's doing. I mean, like you've got the Charger and the Challenger.
Right.
Not a whole lot else on the Dodge front, right? I mean, you've got some Ram stuff, right?
Right.
But I mean, everybody's kind of streamlining their offerings because of this constraint.
Yes.
Labor constraint, obviously you've got the cost of things, the chip shortage, like you just mentioned. Like there's a lot of factors, but we may see a lot of different trim levels, but in terms of different vehicles, I foresee in the next 5 years that like 3 or 4 vehicles are what these manufacturers are going to focus on, and that's it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, do you think the trend continues when for the consumer to build a car and have 100 different options within that car? Deciding color of stitching. Do you want illuminated lights on the floorboards? I mean, it seems like you can really drill into cars now and really make them yours and customize them. You couldn't do that 5 years ago.
Yeah, I think it's going to because it pads their pocketbooks even more. They get a lot of profit off of that.
Well, and Tesla was kind of the first person to really do that, right? You went to a showroom, you built your car, and you could make it your own.
Yeah.
So
Porsche's good at doing that
definitely.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the special order thing has been there, but it wasn't really prevalent with the masses because inventory wasn't short.
Right.
So like you could go in and pretty much find what you wanted for the most part. I mean, it may not be to the T, but really close.
Right.
And if they didn't have it, what would they do? They bring it in, right? It's we get it from this dealership for you. That is not a thing anymore. Like if they're going to get it from a dealership, it's going to be in California or some someplace that's 1,500 miles away. So like it says, everything has changed so much. But now, if you want a vehicle, you almost have to special order it if you want it anywhere close to what the spec you want.
Yes.
And sometimes there's a cost to that too.
Oh yeah.
That's we're all aware of.
There's a cost of waiting and a cost of extra ADM on it. So yeah.
I guess the plus side is your trade-in value is as high as it's ever been.
Oh yeah, that's something that we haven't really talked about. There's a lot of people out there complaining about how much stuff is costing, but I haven't heard a single person complain about what they get for their trade-in, or if they decide not to trade it in and just sell it outright, they're getting a lot more money for their used car than ever before.
Well, I had an SUV 2 years old, traded in. We received almost $4,000 more than we paid for it. Mm-hmm. I had a Ram diesel truck, same deal. Had it for 2.5, 3 years. Basically, almost to the penny what I paid for it. Got it on trade. So, I mean, when have you ever in the past been able to drive a car for 1, 2, 3 years and essentially get all your money out?
More.
It's it's a brand new thing.
It won't. I think it will. That trend is probably going to stem some.
Yeah, that's
because
normal.
because at some point, these cars are going to get older, and then all of a sudden we'll have had years of this, and then it'll be different. But you're right. It is such a weird thing, and of course, then you get the tax break too, right, with the trade-ins, and so you do when you're getting a lot of money for trade-ins. that does help, which is why, what you said, you see so many used cars on the lots right
Yeah.
now. That's why. That's exactly why. I mean, it's like they're calling you up. I mean, literally, people are calling on the phone like, hey, I want to buy your car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
happened to me and my truck. They're like, hey, let's get you a new truck. I'm like, oh, I don't really want to get rid of my truck. They're like, well, what if we give you X? I'm like, well, I guess I'm getting a new truck.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, don't twist my arm.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
You
that's
gotta
what
get
they're doing.
creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's incredible. Just a couple years ago, I have a buddy that had I think it was an 8-month-old Silverado, and they offered him a check for $10,000, and it was a lease.
Yeah.
To turn it back in, you get $10,000, and it's like,
Right.
wow,
You know,
that
another,
is
another trend too,
incredible.
and I've done this myself, I'm sure you guys have as well, is buying vehicles out of state, right, with the power of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I bought a vehicle from Oklahoma, I bought a vehicle from Louisiana. You get online and you'll find exactly what you want, and we're willing to travel or have stuff shipped. I mean, shipping of cars is happening
Well,
more so than ever.
That's what I was going to say. It kind of spawned a whole, like, you know, not a new industry, but really kind of reinvigorated the whole hotshot industry where if you got a truck and you can tow cars
Oh,
around,
yeah.
you can make a lot of money doing that
Yeah.
because so many people are willing to pay the extra money to have it shipped
Or
because
you get exactly what they want.
that's it.
Right.
And so a lot of folks have been starting to do that. They started just, hey, I got a truck, I got a trailer, I can get it there safe, and they make a little extra money doing it. So
Yeah.
who'd have thought? But yeah, that's where we're at.
Well, is there anything else that you guys want to go over before we
No,
read
I
the
think
comments?
that's a
And
good summary. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot about price increases in the Corvette.
oh yeah,
here.
absolutely. All right. Well, you guys have already done an excellent job of putting your comments down, so we'll start going over those and trying to answer them for you. And if you have any more, just feel free to.
And then a reminder
Put it
to
down.
everyone for our blower band giveaway. Comment, leave a comment, tell us where you're from, and we're going to select a winner here at the end of the evening.
So neighbor Mark says, "Hey guys, sorry couldn't be there, but watching. Awesome. I hope everything was okay with you guys. I forgot to say at the beginning, but neighbor Mark couldn't be with us tonight, but he should be here next week. So let's see. The next one is love the content you put out. Keep the good work. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. That comes from Robert. If you want to scroll through them, or yeah, there we go. All right, what's up, Doug? Let's go, it's car talk time, yep. Joel says, are we really the country that beat back the Nazis and sent man to the moon? We are way off course.
You know, I
don't know how to-
I get a lot of comments. So when you alluded earlier to that video that I put out about the kind of the current state of car things, right? The title was "We as a car community are screwed," and I am not even close to a political channel. I
Right.
never touch it.
Same
I feel like
here.
that's a dangerous place for
Yeah,
me to go.
absolutely.
So I just stay away from it. But you know, we do have a lot of factors right now that are going against us as a car community. Some of which
Yes.
we talked about, some not. But really, the biggest thing is just, you know, the fact that, you know, wages are up 6%, while the cost of used cars 41%
Yeah.
in 1 year.
Yeah.
That is not sustainable.
No.
And
not at
so,
all.
like, you know, if you've got enough money, okay. But I mean, for the average person out
Right.
there, you know, when you look at household income and all that kind of stuff, which I talked about in my video, you have to look at all those factors. I mean, I just went grocery shopping the other day, and I mean, the cost 80% marked up on some of that stuff.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And it's everything has gotten more expensive, and wait till we get our tax bills and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, it's like, but like I said, that's not political. It's just it's just
Yeah,
plain
facts.
numbers.
Right.
But I'm a little scared for the car community because it is it's going to make these cars so, and they're already hard to get, right? So now we have this other factor included, and I mean, if gasoline goes to like $8-9 a gallon. You know, and people in Europe are just laughing because it's
Yeah,
been like
yeah.
that for a
Oh,
while.
yeah, yeah.
But I mean, here in the United States, we're not used to that, and so that completely starts to change our outlook on just what we drive, how we drive, all that kind of stuff. It's like soon we're going to be at the point where, you know what, I want to go visit, you know, my buddy, but I don't have the gas money to do it.
Right, you won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly.
And EV's not going to help that because energy costs are going up like crazy. So it's going to cost a lot just to charge your vehicle.
Well, the upfront cost of an EV too,
and the
right?
upfront cost of an EV. So there's not really a good solution except, you know, riding a bike or something.
Yeah, I mean, and I thought about it, I'm like, maybe I should get me an EV or something. And then I was like, I could use a little Model A performance, you know, it'd be kind of fun or whatever. Like, they're 70 grand. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
So
It's a ton of money.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
The chatter will change for how much horsepower you have, how many miles per gallon you get.
That's it, that's
Right.
it.
Yeah. Let's see. Thanks, Corey. I appreciate it. McLaren Arturo caught fire at press release. I didn't hear about that,
Oh
but
my
that's
gosh, really?
that sucks. I mean, it happens.
There's so many little jokes we could make about
I
that.
know.
Right? We'll just steer clear of it.
Yep. I was just getting ready to ask that. LOL. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Greg. Thanks, Lucas. Let's see. We did we read that? Even at $10 a gallon, I'm still driving the wheels off my Z06, maybe only once or twice a week. LOL. Yeah. I agree, Greg. I mean, it's going to cost a lot to fill it up. I just filled mine up the other day, and it was $85. It's not a very big tank, but gas was $5.23 a gallon for 93 octane. So it's not cheap.
Well, the other thing is, like my car's on E85, right? And everybody says, well, E85, that's, you know, it's a cheaper fuel. But people don't understand, I've got, you know, twin 450s in that car, so I fill up once a day.
Oh man.
At $70 a day. So do the math on that. So, yeah,
Yeesh.
E85,
You just watch the fuel.
you can almost, like, if I do a boosted pull, I'm like, that was a quarter tank. That's reality.
Man.
It is what it is.
The Lotus Emira was a complete dud at the press release. Well, that's very disappointing to hear. I mean, I hear a lot of good things about it, but I don't know if you guys know anything that you want to chime in with there, but I don't know much about the Emira. I just know it's supposed to be a really cool new
It's a
Lotus.
go-kart is
Yeah.
really what it is.
What is it, 500 horsepower?
Something like that. I mean, they're quick.
Yeah.
They're really quick, but it literally, the driving feel of one of those is kind of like a go-kart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably only weighs about 2,300 pounds.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah. Doug says, amazing to me how easy it is these days to manage high horsepower cars because of technology. Oh,
Very true.
That's a great comment. Yeah, it is, especially things like the C8. There's almost no tire spin. It launches hard. It barely gets any chirp from there. And then if you're already going, it's pretty hard to get sideways. I mean, it really
corrects itself
does.
so quick.
Yeah, it does.
It's a very easy car to drive.
I mean, they almost have to move to that at this
Yeah.
point. I mean, as cars have continued to get faster and faster, you know, if it's like the Gen 4 Viper, you know, you're just going to have a bunch of people driving into the bridges and
Exactly,
stuff, right?
yeah.
And I mean, they keep putting these cars with more and more horsepower out there, but yeah, they've got to have the driver's aids in place because your average person hasn't been, you know, Skip Barber or Bondurant or,
Right.
you know, has the experience, so they've got to do something.
Yeah, I agree. Anticipation for the Z06 is off the charts worldwide. You got that right. It is, it's crazy, man. I talked to my local dealer. The manager there has been there for like 27 years with GM. And he said never before has he ever had this issue with GM. I mean, they can't get any info on the Z06 at all. So it's crazy, but I'm confident we're going to hear something sooner than later in the next couple of weeks, I would say. And then we'll all be happy.
Yeah, it's kudos to GM, right? What we talked about earlier in the show. I mean, they're knocking it out of the park. This is a home run for them.
Yeah.
Grand slam.
Yeah.
You know, it's a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I mean, the C8 alone was a game changer.
Right.
And then the Z06 is just
We've all heard the
crazy.
stories and met the people that had the Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and they bought a C8, and they end up getting their Lamborghini or Ferrari. They get rid of it because, like,
Yes.
I can drive it, I can park it, I don't have the big upkeep charges.
Yes.
Keep it on the road. Insurance is cheaper.
Well, and they're just starting to scratch the surface with what the C8 can do in terms
Right.
of tuning and all that kind of stuff. Once they get all that stuff cracked, then it's going to open up a lot more possibilities. And so it should be fun, especially when the Z06 comes out too. I really do think when the Z06 comes out, that might actually help just a little bit with the price of the C8s.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I've been asked that a lot for about a year now.
Have you?
I have. And I have mixed emotions about it. I kind of feel like another car that's hard to get is going to put strain on the C8. And that's going to make more people go over to the C8 that thought, oh, I'm not going to get the C8, I'm just going to get the Z06. And then they're going to find out very quickly they can't get the Z06.
Right.
And so
they're going to have to wait till production comes forward a little bit. Yeah, it's going
so
to take
then
a couple years.
their mind is going to go back to the C8, which is going to, put the amount of people that want the C8 higher than production.
Right.
So I don't know, man. The C8 pricing right now is staying pretty level. I've always said I don't think the C8 price is going to really come down until you can walk into a Chevy dealership
Right. Have 20 of them.
and there's 20 on the lot,
Yeah.
and you can go, I want that red one.
Well, remember,
You know?
Yeah, it could be.
not that many years ago, right here in Grapevine, right? Driving
Oh.
past Classic, they used to have 50
Yes,
Corvettes lined up.
absolutely.
Right there. You could go in there.
100% of the
whatever,
time. Yep.
Yeah.
And they had every single kind.
Trim levels.
You had every trim level. You had
3LT cars, all of it, yeah.
Stingrays, Grand Sports, Z06s, not the ZR1. They only got, I think, 10 total ZR1s, but
Yeah.
they had plenty of everything else. So, yeah. All right, let's see. What's next? What's up, Clarence? Steve says, I have a C8 and 2020 GT500, two of the best cars
Nice
in the
combo.
world. Yeah.
That's a lot of American muscle right there.
Heck yeah, man. Do you have the Track Pack 500 or just the normal 500? Diego says, all the horsepower doesn't impress me. To me, it's about the driving experience. I'd rather have an exclusive, very low mile C6 in my opinion. Yeah, I mean,
Valid comment.
yeah, very valid. I mean, I've said probably 100 times on my channel, after coming from super fast Z06s, getting into the C8, that the speed and the power really didn't mean anything to me because the C8 was so amazing with everything. I've gotten used to only having 500 horsepower and I absolutely love it. I mean, am I going to love 670 in a Z06 if I ever get one? Of course, but the 500 horsepower that I have now is amazing.
You know, I put out a video a while back that literally the title was "Horsepower Isn't Everything."
Yeah.
And talk to the guys that own like Civic Type R's and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's, I mean, you know, WRXs, stuff like that. I mean, they still love those cars.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they don't have the straight line performance of a Shelby GT500.
Right.
Or, you know, a Hellcat or whatever. But these guys love them. And a lot of times, even guys that own like Miatas,
Oh yeah.
like, they'll go out and they'll road course those
Yes.
things, and those guys love it, and they have a fun time with it. And so, like, you know, it takes all sorts, but you can have so much fun in a car that doesn't make that much horsepower. It's kind of goes to the old adage my buddies and I talk about all the time. Is like, would you rather drive a fast car slow or a slow car fast?
That's
and
true.
each car has its own merits and offers a different driving experience. Because even in the Plaid, as fast as it is, it gives you a headache when you drive it.
Right.
Literally,
Oh, yeah?
It literally gives you a headache. You do 4 pulls in a Plaid, you'll have a headache for 2 hours. Well, I'm not exaggerating.
I believe you.
My buddy has
I
the
totally
Lucid
believe
Air, right?
Okay, another fast car.
Very
Yeah.
fast car, and it's the Dream Edition, right? The one that has 1,100 horsepower. Same deal. I told them, I go, if your kids are acting up, give them a G-force nap. You just romp on it, they're just gonna pass. I mean, it
It's-
feels like you're going into space.
I put out probably a half dozen Plaid videos, and every time I film one, I have a headache almost all night. And it's weird because like I typically I'm sort of an adrenaline junkie, right? And I've raced a lot of fast cars and stuff. There's something about the way it makes that power. It feels like it's going to give you a bloody
It just
nose.
keeps going, right? It just-
Well, yeah. I mean, I've ridden in a Taycan,
Yeah.
the turbo, and it wasn't the S, but it's still 650 horsepower. And just the way it made its power actually hurt my insides.
It is almost painful. It's almost
it's
painful.
so weird.
But and here's the other thing that kind of the point of it is that after you do about 6 pulls in a Plaid, you're kind of like, okay, this is fun, this is kind of fun, and then all of a sudden you're like, what's it missing? It's still an expensive car, very capable, but then it's like when you get a car like yours, it makes half the horsepower.
Right.
But you just smile ear to ear when you drive.
Oh yeah.
And so,
whether you're going fast or not.
well, but it feels, even though you're not going as fast, it
Right.
feels like you are.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that thing's such a point and shoot. Like even when I drove the McLarens, another thing, so much fun to drive. You hear
Yeah.
that thing just zipping around behind you, and like even driving a Dodge Viper. I mean, they kind of suck. They just sort of do. I mean, they really do. The pedals are weird.
Right,
I talk
right,
about it all the
right.
time. But I mean, you're not hardly ever going to see a better looking car on the road. I just love the way they look.
Oh, yeah, I
And
do.
and there's something visceral about driving it with a big V10 in front of you.
Yes.
Like, and you hit that thing and it's wailing behind you, and you're like, oh, this is so much fun. And like, yeah, you get passed by a Plaid, but you're still grinning here.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot to be said for different cars and what they have to offer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Dodge Viper, do you think they're going to bring that back?
I hope they do.
They have to, right?
I hope they do. I've talked about it at length on the Viper, and the problem with it is, like we talked about, there's going to be so much demand, and then the price of that new Viper, whatever power plant it happens to be, will not be a V10, but based on everything's coming out from the EPA and all that kind of stuff. My guess, it's going to be a hybrid of some sort. If they do bring it out, and it's going to, it's going to have front wheels being driven by electric propulsion. I
Sure,
can just
sure.
about guarantee you. And with Dodge going to these high horsepower EVs, we're going to find out at the end of the year, October, I think, what that new EV, will it be able to beat the Plaid? So that's
Oh,
another
wow.
big thing everybody's looking at, is what will this new e-muscle car look like? Everybody wants to know. But in terms of the Viper, I hope they bring it back out. It is such an American icon.
Yes.
It's like a vet, like there's just something about, if you see a Viper on the road, you can't not look at it.
Yeah.
What goes back to, remember that first came out, what, 93, 92?
Uh-huh.
92, yeah.
What was
Yeah,
that,
92.
440 horsepower?
I think it was
just-
400.
It was like
I was gonna say
amazing.
400.
The
Everybody
initial.
freaked
400.
out. And
But when you saw one on the road, they were just low and wide, and
Yes.
it just made a
statement,
presence.
yeah.
And like they need that. Dodge needs that halo car, because the Hellcat has just kind of become a different animal at
Yeah.
this point. And
Well, it's not rare.
it's not rare.
The Viper's rare, so that's their,
And-
like you said, halo cars.
It's also the Hellcats. I mean, I talk about it at length, but I mean, everybody's stealing them. It's become kind of I hate to say it, but I mean, it is just like that group, that thief group, the thuggery group. That's what they want.
Oh yeah.
what do
and-
you think's happening when they're stealing? Are they taking parts off of them? Body
Both.
parts?
They've taken them out. They're
motors
doing
out?
highway shutdowns with them. It's something I talk about a lot, and because I don't condone that, because it's making us all look bad as a community. It makes us all look terrible, and it's frustrating because they just love those cars, and it's one of the top stolen sports cars or performance-oriented cars out there.
Right.
And in some cities, you literally can't own one. If you own it, it will get
gone.
stolen. If you leave it outside, they're going to come get
But
it.
what's crazy is this whole cloning keys. It's happening. I mean, we've got friends, their C8s have been stolen, out front of their houses, basically. I mean, they're
Yeah.
cloning the keys. It's real, and it's just within, what,
Well, we have-
60 seconds.
We have a friend that's Hellcat's been stolen.
Right.
Mark T's
Right,
Hellcat
right.
got stolen.
On Instagram,
So-
over the course of 2 weeks, I had, I think, 27 separate people message me telling me they got their Hellcat stolen.
Sheesh.
And so
I can only imagine insurance costs for anyone that has a Hellcat.
that, and it's just, they've made it, they have this new technology, like you just alluded to, that makes it easier to steal. And when that group is motivated like that,
Yeah, they just go get it.
Yeah, it's,
I've seen actually them get ripped out of garages and stuff. I mean,
Well, a
they-
friend of ours, he had his 2019 01 stolen, and I guess they somehow cloned the key, and they knew which fuses to pull, whatever it took. It was about a minute and a half. and
They
were gone.
literally have a box that will sit on top of your car, and it picks up the signal from just like your key fob, and it will make its own generic signal, and it will open your car and it will start it.
holy cow.
I put it in a video
Holy
not 2
cow.
weeks ago, and so that is a scary thought, that you could go out one day and see your car just gone. And you know how guys are, where there's a will, there's a way. So in answer, they're chopping them up, yes, they're selling them, yes, and then of course we have the problem with demand right now. So that's really just exacerbating the problem.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
It's a weird time to be a car guy.
Elijah in the chat, he was just talking or asking about price protection. It sounds like he has a 2023 on order, and confirmed with his dealer he did get price protection. I know
Yeah.
you alluded to
Yeah,
that.
I did see that in the
That's
chat.
great.
Yeah, that's
Which it
awesome.
sounds like it's at the dealer discretion, depending on what level you or your build is at, right?
Right. Yeah. Let's see if we have any more comments down here. We're going to start wrapping up here. We got a few minutes left.
While you're looking there, Paul, what do you think About the Camaro. Is the Camaro going away?
Yes.
It is going away, right?
Yeah, it's going away. I think we're going to see a 2023 model year, and then it'll be done.
Do you think that's a mistake, or you think they're
It goes back to like what we talked about, right? So
Oh, wow.
they're streamlining their offerings. They would much rather do away with the Camaro. If you look at the sales in that kind of market, right? So you're talking about your Camaro SS, you're talking about even the LT1 to some degree, same engine. And then you're talking about the Mustang 5.0.
Right,
You're talking
right.
about the 6.4 Scat Pack. That's that group.
Right.
The sales are vastly below the other two. They're just not getting the traction with it. What's weird is, like, you know, my Camaro content goes great. There's a lot of Camaro guys out there. And I think it's a great offering. I think they have some things to work on. But I think they've decided the juice isn't worth the squeeze at this point. I think 2023 is it on the Camaro, with everything I've heard. It's kind of a bummer because that's another.
It is a
kind of
bummer,
icon.
yeah.
Yeah, that ZL1's really growing.
Yeah, the ZL1 is
One of
freaking awesome.
I've said it many times, but one of my favorite cars that I've ever reviewed is the ZL1 1LE
Oh, yeah.
in the manual.
Yeah, yeah.
What a great driver's car that is. It's a ton of fun to drive that car.
Right.
Yeah.
That clutch is perfect in that car. That small blower is so efficient. It sounds good. It looks good. The ZL1's a great looking car.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
You know, so I feel like they had a few opportunities with the Camaro. I mean, that was their lower price point. I think a lot of people didn't like when they went to the refresh on the Camaro, and the sales suffered. I think if they did a redesign and maybe put an updated power plant in, did a few other little things, that it could still be relevant, but it's hard to say.
Sure.
I don't think it's going to happen.
All right, well, I think we have something to give away, right?
We
No?
do.
Where is that? Oh, right here.
Blower band.
Oh, it's on the.
It's on the
It's
blower.
actually on the blower.
Oh, that's right. So as a reminder to everyone, if you didn't win, blowerband.com, code BOS10, get you 10% off. It's a cool feature for all of us that use their blowers to drive their cars. Let's go with, I saw quite a few comments in here.
Not to be confused with a supercharger.
Yes.
That's true.
All right.
And we just put up the link there so you guys can see exactly what that looks like and where to get it.
All right. If he's still in here, let's go with General Lee. Are you in here? Comment.
Greg, are you in the live stream still? If you are, you won the blower band. Let us know. While we're waiting for him to comment, I apologize if we didn't get to your comment. Today was a special day, though. We had an awesome guest, Paul from Racerx. So give him a big thumbs up for being on the show. We really appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me, man. It's kind of a bummer that I'm leaving town, you know. Otherwise, we could have got a lot more collabs in and stuff like that. But I really appreciate you guys including me, and your audience has been great. It's been a lot of fun.
But if you'll have me down in Florida,
Of course,
I'll
absolutely.
come down there and do some collabs with you. I
That'd
love
be great.
Florida.
Absolutely.
Okay,
So,
looks
yeah.
like we missed General Lee. Let's do this. Is
Okay.
a fun one.
He's on there?
Oh,
there he is.
Okay.
There
All
he
right,
is.
Greg.
Instead of Corey,
Awesome.
silently lurking
Well,
in the
we will
background.
be mailing this out to you tomorrow. So you'll have it very shortly. Send me an email at bos2020c8@gmail.com and we'll get it out to you right away. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, well, thank you so much for joining us live tonight. We will be live next Tuesday, same exact time, with another subject to discuss. And again, if you haven't smashed that thumbs up button, please do so. And I hope each and every one of you has a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you guys out on the road.